Hello and welcome to Balclone Cloud. In this demo we will demo the latest news in the release, and so you can have an idea of what the additions are for this particular release. Let's take a look at the news first of all. Let's activate the main screen, and immediately you can see here the improved UI. So we have logical groupings in here for logical operations, so to speak. Up here we have templates. So you can save a cloning template, essentially your settings down here for later use. We'll come back to this in a moment. Once it's saved, it will pop up here. You can reuse it. So what you can see is new here for this particular release is the status, where you can remap statuses between the source workflow and the target workflow. So this has been requested and is now fully functional. The big thing in this release is the support for X-ray testing, basically. So you can rebuild test hierarchies of test sets, test plans, test preconditions, and test executions towards a test case. As you can see, it's yellow here, and that means it's not in operation yet. We need to do some configuration before we go ahead and do that. So let's do that first of all. So where we need to go is on the apps menu. You go to Balclone, and then you come into the panel basically, and you can see here there's an X-ray panel here. And down here you can see that I haven't been set up yet. So we need to create what we call an API token key. And the way you find that is to go to the X-ray. So X-ray obviously need to be installed and enabled. You go to app settings. You choose API keys. You create an API key. I add in my user. I generate the necessary things here. And then I'll copy this into client ID here, and I'll copy the secret into the client secret here. And then I save the configuration. If I now refresh down here, you see that I popped up here, and now we are set to go with X-ray. So let's go back and see if it works. So I have prepared a little filter here called a YouTube demo, and let's take a look at how it works. So we go into Balclone again, and now you can actually see that this section has been enabled, right? So in the filter I have here, I have two input projects, one for platform tests and one for UI tests, and they both have test plans with associated test cases, and have also test executions in here for both projects. So let's check those, and you can see when I've checked the test plan and the test execution, the clone test details also is enabled. So let's go ahead and clone. So I have a target project where I want to merge the input from two input projects into this particular one. So the first issue type is test plan. It has a mandatory field. I continue with the next one. It also has a mandatory field. I merge these two input projects into the same output project, if you like. And finally, we will have the test itself then. And now we are pretty much set to go. So on the final confirmation screen here, you can actually see what options we have enabled at the startup. And now comes the neat thing here. So here you can actually see a new option, new for this release, where you can save the template. So I want to save as template. So I call this my demo for ERA users, and we should be able to find that later on. So now that one is saved. I could have chosen to share it publicly, but I used a private setting right now. But let's clone. And for X-ray test types, there is a connection to an external X-ray API, so you might experience a slight latency in the actual cloning itself. So whenever you're using issue types within the Atlassian standard schemes, it will go a bit quicker. But nevertheless, this will save you a ton of time. So what it does now, it takes test plans and associated test cases and a test execution from the UIT project. And it does the same from the platform project, and it merges together in the test execution project, which I chose as a target project. And soon you can see that the progress bar has been done here. So now we can see the acknowledge here. So if we choose to filter on the standard issue types, you can then see that what has been cloned here on the test execution. You can see here that the overall hierarchy between the associated test cases and the test execution is preserved, as well as on the test plan. Same story, you can see that the hierarchy is preserved. You're actually coming from two different input projects, but we merged them into one and single output project. So this sort of demonstrates the capabilities of this feature. So now let's move back to the apps menu and take a look at some of the other news on the panel here. Because what might be interesting is to see there are a few more options here than you're used to. So what you can see here on the dashboard, this is particularly useful. This gives you a bird's eye view basically on the cloning status in your company. You can filter it. You can filter it on different dates. I didn't have so much data in here now, but you can actually see the total issues cloned, active users, cloning sessions, when we had the peak, issue types, the most popular projects to be cloned, and who actually did the cloning. So this gives you an idea of how things are. Templates are all the saved templates, which we have done for previous cloning operations. And you can actually see here, the one I just saved was this one, right? So let's check. Let's go back now. If I were to do in a week's time the same cloning operation, let's see if it works. So my demo for Jira users, boom, you have the settings here, right? And then you can just go ahead and clone. So this gives you an idea and the capability of what can be done in the new release. We put a lot of effort into this. We hope you're going to enjoy it, and talk to you later. Bye for now.